good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday night Anamkara meditation program. With all my heart, with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. I'm so glad you are joining us for this evening's program and bringing your divine essence. Of course, you have no choice. That's who you are. And wherever you are, that is. And so we get together in order to do the practices that celebrate that allow us to go beyond the mind to know that boundlessness of being. That boundlessness of being, that's boundlessness of heart. That's boundlessness of compassion, patience, and love. The true essence, the true nature of who we are. So thank you for coming and bringing that, and bringing your commitment to practice. That's what empowers us to then take that truth of who we are, walk it into the world, and see everyone and everything in that same light, that light of grace, that light of clear seeing, clear vision. And it takes doing the practices to clear our vision so that we can really see that truth at all times, in all places. So thank you for joining us this evening. So one of the things that we've been doing to start out with, just for settling, is to just bring our attention and our awareness to the flow of the breath, and giving the mind and the body the invitation to just let go, breathe, let go, breathe, let go. And let go of any tension in the body, and also let go of anything in the mind. Anything that isn't the highest truth of who we are. That awareness of simply being, the awareness of I am. And so that's what we've been doing along with the harmonium guiding the breath, so that we're kind of listening for the ah as the breath comes in and the hum as the breath goes out. That sublime mantra that simply means I am. I am. And as the breath slows and deepens, the body sheds tension. As the mind rests on that flow of the breath and on that simple invocation of being, not doing. The mind is such a busy little doer, even doing thinking. We're saying, no, you don't have to do anything now. You don't even have to think. Just listen. Listen to ah as the breath comes in, and hum as the breath goes out. Ah. Hum. And then just continuing to breathe. Just that slow, steady breath that invites us to be able to remain aware of that sort of witness consciousness. The one who just watches all the things that go through the mind, all the things that come up through the body. That witness, the pure witness, that pure I am awareness. Now it's also known as Shiva. That's Shiva, Shiva consciousness, pure I am awareness. The auspicious one, Shiva just means the auspicious one. So we're invoking that innate capacity, that innate purity, fullness, infinitude of being, to rest there. We've been so busy identified with the mind for so long. We can step back, let go, come to rest in the truth of who we are. And that nature, that auspicious one, the infinitude of that, is actually a special holiday. One of the biggest holidays in the Hindu tradition is Shivaratri, the night of Shiva. And that's this Saturday, the 18th. So we'll be doing an Om Namah Shivaya chant for going into meditation, another way of invoking that living presence. And what do we need a holiday for? Well, the mind likes holidays. But every moment is a time to invoke that presence. Every moment is a time to take refuge in the mantra, that living throb, that living pulse, that vibration of consciousness that takes sound form and invites the mind to dissolve into the ocean of being again. That's Om Namah Shivaya. That's Shivaratri. Every night is Shivaratri. It's actually Maha Shivaratri. This holiday is Maha Shivaratri, the great Shivaratri, because there's Shivaratri every month. This is the Maha Shivaratri. And so it's said, of course, that on Maha Shivaratri, even one repetition of Om Namah Shivaya is equivalent to 1,000,000 repetitions at other times. So an especially auspicious time to be immersed in Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah. Look at 3,000,000 times just right there. Oh, that'll be Saturday. That'll be on Shivaratri. Well, it was such a sublime holiday in India in the years I was there. Just these magnificent chants and thousands of people just becoming immersed in that. And that was one of the best things about Shivaratri. It brought so many people together and diving into that ocean all together at the same time and invoking that with mantra and devotion practices and artis and everything. So we can do that in our own way, in our own heart, in our own consciousness. Invoke that sublime presence. Well, actually, a dear friend of mine who was a great lover of Shiva and wrote an extraordinary set of volumes of poetry. Her name was Dorothy Walters, and I wrote about her a bit today in the Anamkara e-newsletter because she passed away over the weekend. And she had a wonderful life, and she left in great spirits, literally with a smile on her face. And so, she lived her life, and especially these last many years, really feeling like she was in that embrace of the divine. And she's interesting in many ways. I mean, she was an English literature professor at the University of Kansas. She was one of the first founders of a women's study program at a university back in the early 80s. She was prominent when she went to San Francisco in the LGBT community and what was going on there. And just out of nowhere for her, and she writes about it quite beautifully, and you'll see it if you check out any of the videos. I shared a link, that she had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening back in the early 80s. And she was, as she says, she was completely unprepared for it. She was a Midwesterner, English professor, And suddenly she was having all these kinds of experiences going on. She had no context, no understanding for what that was. But the reality was so exquisite, so potent, that she really trained herself to listen to that and try to glean from other sources information that would help her to understand what was going on. But at that time and in her community in the Midwest, there were very few resources. And there certainly wasn't the internet and what's all available now. So she writes about how she really had to sort of fumble along. And it's actually later on in her journey is when she got in touch with me, having read The Soul's Journey. And we began corresponding, and later on we were able to get together and really dive into the extraordinary gifts of this awakening of the power of the infinite. It's the other aspect of Shiva is Shakti. Shakti is Shakti Kundalini. It's the power of creativity. It's the power that gives birth to all that is. And so she was reveling in that. And as a creative individual, she had been a poet, as she says, since she was, able to speak. And it started to infuse her poetry with a whole other consciousness. So that even at the end, when she wrote her last book, and I featured this in the Anamkara newsletter, Goddess Speaks, Poems of Ecstasy and Transfiguration by Dorothy Walters. And when she was putting that together, we were talking, and she said, now I know these were poems that just kept coming to me. She said, I used to write poetry. These were just coming, and now I know. She said, I know why, Kalidas, why you describe yourself as a scribe, just trying to write down, just trying to catch what's being given, because that's what it felt like to her in her creativity. That flow of that is the Shakti itself. Well, that's something that's been recognized literally for thousands of years. The great sage Shankaracharya, over 1,000 years ago, when he wrote a poem, Sundarya Lahari, extolling the ecstatic nature of Kundalini, Shakti. Even there, he says, she's the source of all creativity. She's the source of everything. All of creation, all of creativity, all genius, all is an expression of this magnificent, innate power, innate to every one of us. And that this is a time where we need that power running through us, empowering us to walk this shift, this radical shift in consciousness, the radical freedom that unfolds as a gift of Kundalini Shakti. And she became a voice of that for thousands of people, reading her poetry and listening to some of the videos and interviews that have been done with her. When I was running the Kundalini Research Network for many years, I was president of that. I think at the time I met Dorothy, and I invited her onto the board so that she could, further amplify her gifts and pass them on. So we're very fortunate that she has left this body of work, this exquisite body of poetry that is luminous with that light of grace, that light of consciousness that is Shakti Kundalini, that is our true nature. So read her poetry. It's like looking in a mirror where you get to see a true reflection of yourself. Not the stuff the mind keeps putting up there. What's the truth of who we are? Because that's the impetus, that's the driving force and power behind Shakti Kundalini, is for us to know the truth of who we are and revel in that, live that. And she was somebody who especially gave voice to the rapturous, ecstatic experiences of that, of the ways of being taken into the arms of love in that. So I invite you all to read her poetry, and I'm going to read some tonight just to help whet your appetite and to celebrate this great soul who left us but didn't leave us. because her light shines on, and certainly through her works and through the many people who loved her and will continue to share her greatness. So this is one of her poems. It's called A Prayer for Our Age. Shatter me into fragments of gold. Let the gold flow forth as liquid light to heal our needy time. Let showers of gold gild each of us, turn us into reflections of that which we are meant to be. That which we are meant to be. That's the gift of Shakti. She brings us to the truth of who we are. We leave the contracted, deluded nature of mind. Come home to that. When the beloved comes, these moments of rapture, they come suddenly, unexpectedly. When they arrive, I answer, who am I to refuse God? Who am I to speak of right and wrong, good and bad behavior? Always one within lies in wait and springs when I least expect it. Always I must be open, ready to receive the one without a name. This is the sadhana of Shakti Kundalini. To wait, to be receptive, to set aside all the doing of mind. She will do it all with love and grace. The conundrum. You ask how I can speak of joy, of love, when so many are suffering or in pain. Well, God does not change as we pass through our troubles. God, the goddess, is immutable, ever fixed, watching us struggle with our challenges, holding us as we transmute into the thing we really are, the perfect self, infinite love, now and ever holy creation, endless bliss. God is love, bliss, and so are we. Space. When God arrives as rapture in the veins, we know we are one. That source is who we are. Yet, there is a vastness beyond vastness, space beyond space, things unseen that nonetheless exist without challenge. No one can tell us truly what is there, what unseen hand fashioned such realms, or why. There is no bridge to span this immeasurable separation, no constructed device to unveil the hidden, unknown we so long to know. That longing, that is a gift of grace itself. Kali's dance. We used to delight in talking about Kali together, Shiva and Kali. Kali is dancing to the rhythm of the turning cycles, and the drumbeat deafens our ears. This is the time of the darkness, the place of desolation and sorrow. We know of it through scriptures, the verses of the prophets and sages. We have been warned, and we have turned aside. Heads are tumbling, bodies are falling, the world is melting before our eyes. Yet our hearts are opening. The beloved is embracing us. Our hands are turning to light. The mission. She quotes Buddha saying, "Be a light unto yourself." The hard part is not knowing where you are going, what the distillation of all those life-disturbing events led to. Why did we do any of it? Was it love we wanted and kept tracking it to all its layers, each time a lesson to be learned and then too soon forgotten? Was it the sudden opening to something that seemed more than mortal, that flood of bliss almost more than one could bear? For years it went on and finally subsided, now ineffable and soft. What was the source? Why did it happen? Was it from some half-remembered past life? Who was I then? Indeed, it was a boon, also a challenge for those times I lived in, a life hidden, disguised, in a surface existence. Did I do enough with that gift, vibrations raised for a purpose, a common awakening into awareness of true self? Were the poems and reflections what I was supposed to bring in, capture in a special vocabulary? Was it this silence of solitude, this safety of aloneness, this being only here, only with whatever is that remains within, still not aware where it all leads, what it meant? Faith that all is well, though not revealed. I was there. I was there. I wore the thread, carried the mark on my forehead, spread my deer skin in the forest, performed the ritual dance where each small gesture was a secret code. I fasted the long holy days, bathed in the sacred river, chanted the hymns of devotion, mated with the other in ecstatic bliss. Oh, Shiva, I look and cannot find you. My life is a river gone dry. I cry out and hear only an echo. All I have left is this small sculpture and holy longing, a wave of feeling now and again, and then this memory, this stirring, this yearning to return. These are some poems from her collection, right? Some Kiss We Want. And so this is a selection of poems from a number of her previous volumes. Finally, we took an axe. For years, we circled our hidden chamber, seeking a way out. Nothing sufficed. Not prayers, not supplications, not knees against stone, not heavy penance of nails and shirts of hair. Finally, we took an axe and broke through to God. At first, we were blinded by the spectacle, the majesty, and the shining raiment. We crept closer and raised our head a little. Then a voice said, "Where have you been? Where have you been, my dear one? I have been waiting for you for so many years." The divine, always present, arms open, saying, "Where have you been, my dear?" I've been waiting for you. Come home. Come home. The awakened one leaves. Light passes to light, all passions stilled. Long ago, I saw and surrendered, entered the beam of the single eye. I chose nothingness as my companion and knew that loss, like love, could not be held. The only moment is that pierced by the other. Now I go to become my own bride. So she has. So she has. So as she was dying, and the people who was with her, she said she was out in Colorado, and she asked for me. And so they got in touch with me. So I sent an email. And in the email, one of the things I wrote to her was some lines from Oh My Beloved. It came from the Beloved. And she wrote the foreword for that. And the lines were, there's never a time, there's never a place that you're not in the divine's embrace. So the people that were with her, that she smiled. And they kept saying those lines to her over and over as she passed with a smile. Dying into the embrace. That's also the gift of Shakti Kundalini. That we know that we leave with that consciousness, passing into the divine embrace. Even while living in the divine embrace, here and now. What past? Oh, just the body, just the mind. The consciousness? That is the divine. That is the one. We become our own bride. Shiva and Shakti. The dance of love. The dance of creation. Maha Shivaratri celebrates that dance. The dance of the Shiva Nataraj. The dance of the Lord. What's that blazing circle? That's Shakti. That's his beloved. What's this? This is Shiva's dance with Shakti. That's what you are. That's what I am. That's what all there is. It's that. To know that is the gift of Shakti Kundalini. It is the power to know the infinite as your own self. It's innate. It's who you are. It's with you at all times, in all places. The mind keeps turning away. It turns away to the little dance going on, the matrika shaktis, the little thoughts creating contracted realities, seeing other where there is no other, seeing the divine as far away when it's it's more intimate than you can even conceive of. We need to know that, live that, live from that. Our world is on fire, the fire of ignorance. And all it gives birth to, the anger, the hate, the lack, the want, the need. So we come home to the truth and live that into our world, to our everyday life, all embraced by the divine. We don't have to go any place. Retreat into the heart. The luminous one. It's right there. Never left. And the divine floods us with the gifts of the means to come to that knowing. We're not abandoned and said, oh, figure it out for yourself. Mantra is a throb of that. It's the life preserver thrown into the ocean of drowning souls and say, here, take a hold of this and cling to it like you would cling to a life preserver if you were drowning in a storm. It's not just a set of words, not to be done here and there if you think of it. It's the means to get free, to know boundless love, boundless wisdom, boundless, unshakable equanimity. That's the root of who we are. Untouched by the mind gets disturbed, it will never touch your true self. Never. When we become that disturbance, when we identify with it, it seems like it occludes everything. No. It just means our vision got so tiny, so contracted, we can't see past it. The infinite still is there. Om Puranamada, Puranamidam, Puranat, Puranamadachate, Puranasya, Puranamadaya. From the infinite comes the infinite. And the infinite remains. The infinitude of creation doesn't diminish the infinite being of consciousness within which that unfolds. Come home to that. So now we're going to chant Om Namah Shivaya for a few minutes and then just rest in the stillness, the gift of your own self. This mantra is already throbbing within you. Huh? It's already there being given to you. But we seem to have to be introduced to it from outside until our awareness becomes subtle enough, clear enough. And then there's never a time, there's never a place we're not in the divine embrace, the embrace of mantra, the throb of the infinite, the truth of who we are. Shri Kali Mandevi Ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya. resting in that stillness, the silence, the source of all that is. Come home to that. Letting go and letting go. More and more deeply. To rest in your own sublime nature. The truth, who you are. Shiva. Kali Mahadevi ki jai. We end with this prayer that may all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. So many ways to come back home, home to the truth, home to the spaciousness of being, the boundlessness of love, the patience and compassion of true nature, and walking that into the world, day by day, breath by breath. We're empowered. We're empowered to choose love. Choose love. At all times, in all places, choose love. For love has already chosen you. Love, the divine. That is the divine. The boundless radiance, the all-embracing nature of love. Choose to be with that. So it is to choose the mantra, the throb of love, given by the infinite to relieve us from suffering, to empower us to walk in the world aligned with the truth of who we are. You're coming home to that. Rest in that. Rest in the truth of who you are. I want to thank you for coming this evening and bring your commitment to practices and living the truth, walking that into your everyday lives, coming together here to share the power of practice. We're a web. We're spread out, but we're all in the heart of the divine. We're all so close. There is no other. There's only the one. And thank you. Thank you for coming with all my heart, with all my love. Have a wonderful couple of weeks. I'll see you again in our next satsang.